Welcome to Winning Strategies for WESA and Beyond, Workshop Part 2. This workshop is brought to you by Cowgirl Biz, where we believe in the mission of chase your dreams in boots. We're here to empower Cowgirl entrepreneurs like you to confidently build, grow, and scale your bold brand in the Western industry. Whether you're seeking a complete website and brand makeover to help you stand out, a DIY solution with our Shopify themes, designed by a top Shopify expert specifically for Cowgirl Biz, or expert strategies to get found online without relying solely on social media, we're talking about leveraging SEO strategies, paid Google ads, and Facebook ads, all designed to attract customers who are ready to buy. We have the tools, support, and resources to help your business thrive. We specialize in helping Western boutiques and brands transform their visions into powerful, successful businesses. So without further ado, let's get on to today's workshop. Hi everyone, I'm Kim from Cowgirl Biz and excited to be here today with Laura Ingalls. You're going to get acquainted with her. We want to say a very special shout out to WESA and a huge thank you to them for creating their event. I know it's been in existence for a long time. This August will be my first time attending. And how this all came about, for those of you that are not familiar with Cowgirl Biz, is last fall, I started a Facebook group called Cowgirl Entrepreneurs and Innovators. And inside that group, we talk about all things business, collaboration, all kinds of fun stuff. And we had one of our business members, Caitlin Kloss of Wildflowers and Barley, ask a question back in, I believe, December about going to the Dallas Market Center and exhibiting. And Laura Ingalls was kind enough to respond and genuine with her response and very thoughtful about, think about these things as you go and approach your very first exhibit at the Dallas Market Center. And then in the course of the springtime, as we were working with our various businesses inside the group, we decided to get a little more acquainted with WESA, and we asked Laura if she would come and do a workshop on what it's like to exhibit at WESA and all those good fun things. She did that first workshop with us a few weeks ago before the deadline to sign up for the WESA August show. And we are back now with episode number 2, where she's going to go into more details about if you're actually going, or even if you aren't going to go to August, you might go to January. I'll let her go into all of those things. Couple just housekeeping items. We are going to take a Q&A. It will be at the end of the presentation so that she can get through as much details as possible. And then we will open this session up for Q&A. And then one more housekeeping thing is a huge thank you to WESA also, because I got to be on their podcast this week. Recorded it earlier this week, and it's just up in their Facebook group for those of you that are WESA members, and I think you can join even if you're not, I'm not sure, but it's called the Retail
Yes, you
Roundup
can.
Facebook group. You can? Okay, great. And so for those of you that it's a brand new podcast where we shared more about our endeavors at Cowgirl Business for this summer, where we are working on helping our businesses understand more about SEO and getting them on Google and Google Analytics and Google Search Console and all those fun things. So I won't take any more time with that. I'll let Laura introduce herself. And I did ask her to please share more about her actual business as she gets started. So go ahead, Laura.
Okay, thank you, Kim. I am going to share my screen and bring up the presentation. Okay, there we go. Okay, so yep, as Kim said, this is part 2. And if you missed part 1, I believe, Kim, you're putting the link up to how to access that.
Yeah, I'll put the link. It is on our YouTube channel, and I'll put it in the chat right now. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so yes, my name is Laura Ingalls, and that really is my real name, my birth name that was given to me by my mother. unbeknowingly, if you don't know who Laura Ingalls Wilder is, that's a whole nother story. We'll save that for a one-on-one conversation. But I formed my business 15 years ago. I'm actually celebrating my 15-year anniversary. January 1st, 2010 is when I started, and I knew when I started my business that it was going to be wholesale. So I've started already. I know some of you have started from a retail point of view, but I started right away off the bat with wholesale. And my designs certainly have changed over the years. I started with just jewelry. And primarily, I do a lot of beautiful turquoise jewelry. Most of my pieces, not all of them, but a number, quite a few are one-of-a-kind pieces. And so turquoise is the main stone that I work with, but there's another one that I've been working with lately called purple Mojave turquoise. And it's a beautiful stone that got a lot of purple in it. So for people who like purple and the turquoise combo, you can check some of those pieces out on my website. Then I ended up bringing hat bands. That's a whole nother story how the hat bands came up. But I started with hat bands and that all morphed into hats. And so now I have this entire collection of hats, and I have a lot of businesses that just buy my hats. Because they do really well for them. They're very unique. But I've been a member of WESA since 2011, and we actually WESA launched a mentorship program last year for new exhibitors. And I was kind of one of the people who, well, I actually wrote a letter to them and said, what if we do a mentor program? The board and the team of WESA really liked it, and we launched the mentorship program. So that's what I do is I do help new exhibitors really take them under my wing and help them be successful and it's really nice to see some of my mentors over there when they did the January show, how, much more confident they've become. But the first show can be a little intimidating. There's a lot to absorb and take in. And that's what I'm here to do in this presentation, is to give you a really good baseline as to what all needs to go into your preparation for planning for your first wholesale market. So the first thing I want to tell you about is you got to prepare. And I come from the corporate background. That's what I was doing prior to starting my business. But in the corporate background, we do a lot of project management when we're launching some big initiatives. So you got to think about this as your first market and all your markets as a project. The dates for this coming market will be August 13th through the 16th. And guess what? That's less than 2 months away. So there's a lot that has to go into the planning now. I would suggest do what you're comfortable with. Don't make this complicated. You may choose to use a paper calendar. You may use a Google Calendar. But all the things that you need to do as far as creating your items that you need to get done as far as accomplishments. And we're going to go into more details about the things you need to get done. Another thing you could use would be a spreadsheet. How about just a simple to-do list? But something that's very, very visible and that works for you, so that you can stay on track and get these deadlines accomplished. And and that way, if you take it step by step, day by day, week by week, you're not going to be overwhelmed. WESA has some deadlines, and I want to share those with you. And these are very important to document and make sure that you don't miss these deadlines. So as we go into that, first thing that I want to talk about here is the WESA website. For those of you who've already signed up for the August market, you now have a login to the WESA website as the exhibitor. And when you log in there, you're going to see, when you scroll down onto the left-hand side of that WESA page is a title called August 2025 Forms. Become familiar with every single one of these links. There's a lot of really good resources out here. Early move-in form. This is going to give you information if you decide that you want to move in. Maybe you have a really big booth that needs some construction time and you want to get that set up a couple of days before. There is this form that you have to fill out so that Dallas Market Center knows that you're coming and they will expect you so that you can actually get access to the 11th floor. There's also on that form, if you are hauling a trailer, they do have trailer parking provided, and you want to take a look at that and fill that part in of the form for your trailer parking. Depending upon where you're staying, you could maybe park a trailer there. I don't know. It's the Dallas area, and you just need to be careful. Make sure you've got good locks on trailer. Is a podcast sponsorship. There's information about that. Dallas Market Center advertising. We're going to go into that shortly in the coming slide. There is WESA does a benefits spot. Take a look at that. They also do, by the way, they have for August, they have a little golf tournament, and this is it's not on a golf course. I'm not a golfer. For me, I'm not very coordinated, so it's kind of me. But if you're into playing golf and you want to like get to know some of your other fellow WESA vendors, and there are some buyers that attend to, take a look at that and register for it. Discovery Runway. That's another form that you need to complete, and I'll go through that in a moment as well. The wildcard deals, got that out there, additional badges, pink tags, all these things we're going to cover in a moment. But also hotels. If you haven't booked your hotel yet, now is the time to book because there are multiple and these hotels do up. If you go out to the Dallas Market Center or even just through the link here through WESA, you will see the list of participating hotels. The Dallas Market Center, we have a whole team of people that will actually help you make your reservation. You can do that online. ES Equipment, that is your link. Very important to know ES. And the exhibitor in all kinds of information out there that you need to know about because being a WESA an exhibitor, you have responsibility to present yourself, how your booth looks, what you can and can't do. So become very familiar with that. Same with the WESA rules and regulations. Okay, deadlines. I've got this first deadline here in that, yeah, it's kind of come and gone already for the buyer directory. It was June 6th, but I do believe if you want to advertise in the buyer's directory, by the way, let me try to hold this up and see if you can see it. This is the buyer directory. This is the January one. I'm not doing a very good job with that backwards, but but that's the buyer directory and you can advertise. I highly recommend as a new exhibitor that if you can financially afford it, that you do a half page or a full page ad for this. That's how buyers are going to find you. But the person who is in charge of this is Jamie Majecki. That is not in your links on the WESA website. So please take note of her email, her phone number. I just got an email, and if you have signed up for the August WESA market, you may have gotten an email from Greg Joslov. That's he kind of oversees this whole marketing part of the Dallas Market Center. And you may still be able to get into that buyer directory. I know it's going to be going to print because once it's printed, it actually is mailed out to the buyers. So they get this in advance. Also, if they don't register in advance, they will get a copy. And you too, as a buyer, will get a copy when you get your badge on market day. Okay, GES, please take note. That deadline is coming up. It's a month away, July 18th. This is your free booth equipment. If you miss that deadline, you're going to pay for your free booth equipment. Don't miss that deadline. Discovery Runway, the wildcard deals, and the additional badges and the pink tags all have a July 25th date. Just do it now. Put it on your calendar, your spreadsheet, your to-do list. Just get it done now. Then you don't have to worry about it. Okay, let's take a little deeper dive here. Promote, promote, promote. Prior, during, and after. You are a new exhibitor. There are lots and lots of exhibitors here. It's the 11th floor that the temporary Western group will be on. But there's also the 14th floor. There's the 13th floor. There's the 10th floor. That's where more Western is. And also on the 10th floor, that's where the American English Trade Association is located. That's where their temporary booths are. The other markets that are going on will be the apparel and accessories, and that's up on the 12th and 13th floors. Plus, all these other showrooms are open. 7th floor has cash and carry, all those showrooms. So you've got a lot of competition, and you need to be able to figure out a way, how am I going to let buyers know that here I am, come and see me? I mentioned the Dallas Market Center as far as their advertising. They do a big, huge catalog, a directory also. It's it's a whole advertising thing. It's big. And that just came out because they've got the home and gift show going on right now. But it's called Spark. And by the way, when you come into the Dallas Market Center, you come in that main entrance, and there's going to be a big pillar over to the left of the elevators. It's over actually by kind of near the Starbucks area. But there's a pillar there, and that's where the Spark guide is, so you can actually pick one of those up. Cowboys and Indians magazine will usually have copies of their man there. Western Horseman has theirs. There's a whole bunch of freebies that you can pick up. Cowgirl magazine, I don't know if they still put theirs out there, but they have in the past. Some of the other things that you can do for advertising through the Dallas Market Center is they've got floor signage. So, like big, huge decals on the floor of your company and your logo and all that. They have bathroom signage. So like when you go to one of the bathrooms, all the door stalls have your advertising on it. They've got banners off on the side of the elevators. The revolving doors to the main lobby have banners. So there's lots of opportunities. I will say that these are pretty pricey. So you have to have a pretty nice marketing budget to afford those. But take a look at them and just become familiar with them. The WESA Buyers Directory, I've mentioned that, I showed you this. The full page ad is $12.50, a half page is $7.50. And I know, again, they're going to print. If you can't afford to do it this time around, but you are coming to January, I would highly, highly advise that you absolutely do January. Buyers find me that way. I advertise in the January one, and that's how they come and find me. It's like, I love, because they see the visual. Something else here is the Wisdom by WESA podcast. You can actually do a promotion with your business on that. Sophia Agala, the J is soft, her contact information is there. And I've got a slide at the end of this also with all of their contact information. But even if you don't do a sponsorship with the WESA podcast, listen to them. With those podcasts, they also, Sophia will come on and she will talk about what's coming up, what's new for the market. So there's a lot you can learn. There's what you can learn also from fellow exhibitors as to how they got started and what's working for them. Email campaigns. So what WESA sends out are buyer registration lists. There are these buyer pre-registration lists that we'll be getting. There's 2 of them that will come up prior to the August market. You can use these to put together an email campaign to let buyers know that you're attending market and this is what you have to offer. I will tell you that buyers do get flooded. Their emails get flooded with these, but you have to make them catchy, make them easily readable. And that is another way to help promote your business. Something else are these wildcard deals. And that was in one of the links that I showed you with the WESA forms. And if you're going to do a wildcard deal, take a look at that. But that would be, let's say that you're doing free shipping. I did that one year. I made a mistake. Shipping hats is a little expensive, but you might be offering some kind of a promotion. So, fill out the form for the wild card deal. And then what you're going to do is you'll get signage in your booth. And that also helps to direct buyers towards your booth. So, okay, all the things you can do to help promote. Something else I want to mention that I don't have here is Discovery Runway. The runway, and again, that's in your link on the WESA website. But the Discovery Runway happens on the 14th floor. And there is a restaurant right there by the runway. There's 2 runways, and they sometimes will have mini fashion shows that go on there. But what they do, and they're not sure if they're going to do it for August, they for sure will do it for January. So I'm kind of prefacing that. But with that, they will actually set up displays on the runways, and there will be signage for your booth. What you can also take up there, which I've done in the past, is I've taken up my postcards with my booth number on it so that buyers, if they're eating lunch there and they walk by and they see the product, they can pick up one of my postcards and find my booth. But there's mannequins, there's all kinds of different ways. And Amy Morehouse is the one, that's her name, Morehouse, Amy Morehouse. She basically will do all the displays, but you have to have your product to her on time. And that means that you have to have a duplicate of your product because you want to be able to sell it in your booth as well. Okay. GES, who are they? Because this is a company that you really are going to get to know. GES, they basically are kind of the people that set up all the pipe and drape. They coordinate all the stuff on the floors, and they're moving stuff around all the time. It's GES.com. If again, go out to the WESA website, use that link to get there, okay? And you'll have to create a little account so they know who you are. And when you do that, you're going to see that once you get out to the GES website, there is WESA free equipment. Click on that, and then there will be a list of the equipment that is free. There are tables. There are 8-foot tables, 6-foot tables, and 4-foot tables. If you don't want an 8-foot table, you have to put in 0. Okay, so you got to put in the quantity. Even like I don't get 8-foot tables, I get 4-foot tables, but I still have to say 0 8-foot, 0 0 6, but 2 4-foot. Chairs. How many chairs do you want? You got to think about chairs for yourself, for the people who, if you've got people who are helping you in your booth, and then chairs for your buyers to sit at. So I usually get 6 chairs. There's a thing called risers. So you can actually, they're like risers. They're just kind of these little cardboard long cubes kind of things that fit on the tables, but you have to have them covered. You can't just have them that way. You got to cover them. Rolling racks. So if you've got apparel, they've got some rolling racks. Make sure you order some waste baskets and electrical. So even though the electrical is free, you need to make sure that yes, you have checked that box that you want the electrical. If you don't and you use it, they are going to charge you. Order by July 18th. Mine is done. You will get a confirmation email. Hang on to that confirmation email. Do not lose it. They had a little bit of an issue back in January with people not getting their equipment. I was one of them, and I couldn't find my confirmation email, and they almost charged me. Thankfully, WESA team helped me out there. Okay, some of the other things that are not provided in your booth is carpeting. It's just concrete flooring. So what I did is went through wayfair.com. I ordered, because my booth is a 10 by 20, I ordered 2 area carpets, area rugs, and that's what I use now for my booth. Because with my jewelry and everything, people kind of end up sitting on the floor looking at it. I mean, I got chairs, but sometimes that just happens. It's much more comfortable. Um, so there's all kinds of different things. I mean, if you want to rent carpeting, they will charge you. I forget, it's about $300 some for some flea bag carpeting, but I shouldn't say that, but it's kind of thin. Anyway, and then track lighting. If you have product where you really want it to shine, you might consider doing some track lighting. I did it one time. It was nice, but to do it was like another $400, and that was just more money that I didn't want to pay at the time. Okay, something about shipping with GES. So when I had the area rugs sent to the market center, right? Because I just did that from Wayfair, free shipping, send it right off to Dallas Market Center. I had to make sure that I had the correct information put in, because it's actually attention GES. And when you're on the GES website, they do have their shipping information. You make sure that you've got that filled out. What happens is that GES then charges me a small amount of money, depending on how big the package is, to deliver. So for instance, like I have like my hat designs. When I have new hat designs, I will send a box right there to the attention of GES, and they will then charge me $21 to deliver to my booth. But when I get there, it's there at my booth. And also GES does have deadlines as to when they need the product by, if you're going to ship anything to the market center. And you cannot ship too early, because then they're going to store, they might have to store that, and there could be a charge for that. Okay, speaking of storage, this is really a very, very nice benefit about being able to exhibit at the Dallas Market Center, because I exhibit in January and August. So I've got all these fixtures. I have shelving, I have racks, I have hat racks, all this stuff. I have my display items that I need. And I store all of that there. So I live in Wisconsin. I get on an airplane and I fly there. And all my product is there. All my jewelry comes with me. But everything else I pretty much store there. And so GES, what you can do is that they have a kind of a booth set up on the 11th floor. When you get off the freight elevators and you go on to the exhibit floor, they are from the freight elevators, they are off to your right. That is their hub. And you can just let them know, I'm going to be storing my fixtures here and I'm going to need a pallet. You have to decide, how big of a pallet do you need? Do you need a double-sized pallet? How many? Do you need a regular size pallet? And they're just wooden, crappy pallets, but they have them. And then they will provide towards the end of the market. What I do on Saturday morning is I walk over to the GES booth and I get my paperwork, because you have to fill out the paperwork so they know to come and pick up your product, to pick up your they'll deliver the pallet to you, and then they'll know to come and pick the pallet up once you've got it all wrapped up and everything. But if you're going to store there, make sure you talk to them at the beginning of market that you're going to need a pallet. Otherwise, you could be waiting, because at the end of the market, there's a lot of activity going on, and GES people are all over the place, because some of these exhibitors have to get off to their next market. And so, GES they move all that product for you. Okay. Booth layout. And we have an example of a booth layout here. Thank you to Melanie who found this. Happens to be my booth. Okay, designing your booth. If you have not designed a booth before, this can be a little overwhelming. I know for me, it has been. So really thinking through, what is my booth going to look like? Because I want it to be, I want it to appeal to those buyers that, wow, look at this product. It's so different. It's unique. It's eye-catching. Is that something that would look good in my store? I've been looking for some new hats, or I've been looking for some new jewelry, whatever it might be. So you want to really make your booth very appealing. Make sure it's neat and organized. I've seen some booths that are just so they're just not put together in a way that they're shoppable to the buyer. Okay, we already talked about equipment, or I should say the free equipment. So what you're looking at here is, there are the chairs, there are the tables. By the way, the tables are skirted. I've got this in your checklist here for your booth layout. You have got to make sure everything is like these tables, because they're pretty rough underneath. But they have got to be covered all the way down to the floor. And so what we did is we just had our brands put on. We had found a company and had our brands put on the front of them. All right. The other thing that you might need would be, you need grid. And you can see kind of in the background of this, there's some grid. That's another booth behind me there. There's the grid. Keep in mind, if you're going to use grid, this is the pipe and drape, okay? You can't exactly hang grid from the pipe and drape. It's not sturdy enough. So you got to figure out, how are you going to make sure it's freestanding, and that once you get your product on it, will it stand up? Other things you might need are mannequins. I just bought my mannequins because we do this, a couple of times a year. But there's a company actually in the Dallas Market Center. What you want to do is you want to go onto the dallasmarketcenter.com, and in the, in the whole their title section, you'll see, I think it's exhibitors. And if you hover over exhibitors, you will see resources. And when you click on resources, American Showroom Concepts will come up. So if you need to rent grid, if you want to rent some mannequins, because maybe you're not sure if this is going to be kind of the thing you want to do, maybe you don't want to like invest in owning a mannequin, you can rent them. If your product is something where you need a mirror, you can rent mirrors from them, you can rent shelving, they've got hooks, they've got all kinds of stuff that you can rent from them. I believe they even have steamers that you can rent. And you want to do that in advance so that all of that is at your booth when you arrive. Other things you can see here is, I've got for my jewelry, I need neck busts, I need earring stands, I need, bracelet things. All these things. Other things might be props, little props that would look really nice in your booth that would kind of accentuate your product. So I know we've got somebody who's coming in who's got a food product. So being able to kind of showcase how you can make those as far as gift baskets, and so those would be your props. Order writing area, as you can see, this is our order writing area. Signage. So what I have is, I've got pictures of my products with, there will also be a little, WESA does give you, it's already, will be hanging on your pipe and drape, your sign with the booth number. Don't take that down because, because, buyers are trying to find you, and that is the only way that they're going to know this is the booth number. So I leave mine up. I might reposition it, but I make sure that it's there. Um, okay, so you've got your signage, but guess what? You need to figure out, how are you going to get it? Do you need to hang it over that pipe and drape? And there's these little hooks. And GES, I know I hang on to mine over the years, so I've collected them. So I have these hooks, and I can just kind of, my signage is got holes so that I can just kind of hook it all in there. Other things you want to have are promotional materials like business cards. Make sure you have a lot of business cards or flyers. I've got postcards. You can kind of see I've got some postcards over here. Line sheets is something else. We've got example. These are some line sheets over here. And things that your buyers, because they might not be ready to buy from you, they need to think about it. But at least they're taking something with them that that they will remember you by. If they take something from you, if they're interested in your line, ask them for a business card so you can follow up afterwards. Okay, something else to help you with the booth. This is what I've done many times, is I have actually done just a basic pencil and paper sketch of my booth. What do I want it to look like? How am I going to lay it out? If you've got a 10 by 10 booth, it's going to get small really fast. I will say they're going this year, the August market, instead of having these black drapes, they will be gray. I'm so happy about that, to lighten things up. But you kind of think about, what is your booth going to look like? Because a 10 by 10 gets really small once you put some tables and chairs in there, your shelving, whatever it might be. Something to keep note of here with the WESA rules and regulations. This is where I want you to be familiar with it. We've had some exhibitors in the past who think, oh, well, I'll just push my displays out into the aisle beyond my booth. Big no, 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 no. And that happened to one of my mentees. She was next to, she didn't do it, but there was a new exhibitor and he had a lot of stuff crammed into his little teeny tiny 10 by 10 booth. And it's not like they're that small, it's that he made it look small because he had so much stuff crammed in. So what he did is he pushed the stuff out into the aisle, and now it was blocking my mentee's booth from the and so she came to me and said, what do I do about this? And I said, you need to talk to our WESA team. Don't you get involved, let them talk to them and just remind them that you can't go beyond the dimensions of your booth. Same with the signage, you can't go higher than the pipe and drape. So what I've done in the past too is I've just kind of done a mock layout where I'll go, okay, because I've had a 10 by 10 in the past. And what I've done is I'll just kind of take my tape measures and everything and see, all right, how does all this fit in? So if that helps you get your booth designed. But you remember, this is all on your checklist. What fixtures might you need to buy or rent? Okay, some other things to help you here. You need some toolkits. Oh boy. And I have my toolkit. Yep. I kind of say I was a Girl Scout, so I always come prepared. But this is my toolkit. I have a hammer. I have pliers. I have a screwdriver. I have a screwdriver that, I can change the heads out on the screwdriver because I don't know what, like I bought a mirror. Oh, I need this kind of different thing. I need that kind of screwdriver. You need scissors. You might need clamps, extension cords, a power strip, chargers for your phone, for your computer, tape. I have packing tape. I just have my tape dispenser there and I have a couple of extra rolls of packing tape. I have that because sometimes I've shipped stuff home. A little first aid kit might be good. Things do happen. Covers for your product. So you could see with my booth, let's just go back there. At the end of market, I don't want this jewelry exposed because there's still people that wander around on the floor, okay? Even though they're not supposed to go into your booth, they do. It's human nature. So what I do is I actually cover my jewelry up. I just have a black sheet and I put it over the jewelry. Then what I do with the chairs is I take all my chairs, because I've got 6 chairs. You don't see the ones in front here. But I take my chairs and I put them here and I put them in the front. And so that's what I do to block people from coming into the booth when we're not there. But other people use other things like they've used I don't know if you've ever seen that, it's kind of that orange plastic meshy kind of stuff. They might just wrap their whole booth in that. Um, but that's something to think about because there are sticky fingers. I hate to say it, there can be sticky fingers at these markets. And it's easy, especially after the hours. I mean, they get people off the floors, but there's still people hanging out. Okay, something else is shrink wrap. If you are going to be storing your product, I invested in some big rolls of shrink wrap, and so I've got that, and I just keep that shrink wrap, and that because you've got to shrink wrap your pallet and make sure everything's very secure on that pallet so that when GES picks it up, that things are not going to fall off. They're not responsible for that. You are. All right. Here we have another toolkit, your order writing toolkit. This is an order writing show. We're going to talk more about that shortly. But with the order writing, make sure you have order forms. You want a two-part order form, one for you, one for your buyer. Make sure your buyer signs it. I would highly recommend that on that order form that you have your policy on there regarding returns and cancellations. And if you'd like some verbiage for your order form, what all to include on your order form, please contact me and I will share what I have in mind. Okay, other things you need. You need to have price tags on all of your product. You know, you buyers want to take a look at what does this cost? I have my wholesale prices on my product, but there are other exhibitors that might put their retail price on. So buyers will ask you, is this wholesale or is this retail? But you always need extra price tags, fasteners. How do you fasten that on? You have all that extra paper clips, a stapler with extra staplers because, you know, you might have sometimes some of my buyers, you know, will write 3 pages or will use 3 of my order forms. So I need to staple all that. You need a calculator unless you're going to rely on your laptop. But what if your laptop isn't working or something? Have a backup. Remember, think Girl Scout, be prepared. Okay. When I'm writing an order, I will for new buyers, I take their credit card and I write that information on that order form. I need to make sure that I am securing that order form because that contains some pretty, you know, some very special information. And plus, I don't want to lose my order forms either. So you take those order forms with you. Don't keep them in your hotel room. I take them with me. Those are on my possession at all times. Unloading. Here we go. If this is the fun part, and this can be the stressful part, I will tell you that. All right. Dock 1, that's where you're going to go. There is a WESA trade show app that you can download onto your phone. So you just go out to WESA trade show and get that on your phone. And it will have, there is a area there on that app. I think it's the Dallas Market Center. You can click on that and it's going to give you the layout of this in a little bit more detail. But here you've got Market Center Boulevard. If you are coming in, I would highly recommend that you make sure you come in this way. Can you guys see my icon? Okay. You come in this way because you're going to make a right-hand turn. You can come in this way, but there's so much traffic and you've got to make a left-hand turn. It can be a little tricky, especially if you've got a trailer. So try to come in this way where you're just going to the right. You know, you go past all this and there's your right-hand turn. This is very narrow back here. Very, very narrow. But you're going to come up to Dock 1. It's right over here by the World Trade Center. Very limited parking. And there are going to be a lot of people there wanting to unload. So you've got trucks with trailers, you might have RVs, you're going to have semis because they have docks there, right? They've got lift gate areas and all of that. So you've got to deal with semis as well. In January, it is really congested. So, and they're going to, you know, if there is no room for you to park, because, you know, there's only so many areas where you can park right in this area. Keep in mind, they have another dock here, but you cannot unload at that dock, not for WESA. They've got other stuff going on at that dock. You got to unload here. So you might have to kind of circle the building amongst all this traffic. Okay, when you start to unload, they do have carts. And these are some pretty big carts, but there's going to be a dock assistant there, and you go up to his little booth or her booth, and you give them your driver's license. You might actually have to wait for a cart. That's very common. Or bring your own cart. If you do get a cart, make sure that unload quickly, get up to the 11th floor. And sometimes for me, when before I had everything there, it would take me just to get all my stuff up. It was like 3 or 4 times I had to go up and down with the cart. And you're waiting for the elevators. Can be long wait times for these freight elevators. Everybody's trying to get on and they're coming down. It can be, as I said, it can be a little stressful. The red cap service is available. These are some older gentlemen, old gentlemen. They wear their red caps and they will actually help you. They have their own carts most of the time, not always, where you might then have to get a cart. They can help you unload, they can do the lifting for you, they'll take the stuff, they'll go up to the booth with you, they'll unload it for you. They work for tips. Please be generous to them. That is what they're working for. Okay, once you're unloaded, you cannot start setting up your booth. You have to vehicle and you have got to go and park. And parking is usually going to be across the street because there's a little bit of parking in front of the Dallas Market Center, but that fills up pretty fast. And on the side, you're going to be across the road. Okay, here we go. Booth setup. Very first thing is, as you can just see now, unloading could take some time, depending upon what time of day you get there. So then you got to get set up. So you want to plan for your booth. You have got set up. Your deadline to have your booth set up is Tuesday, August 12th. I usually fly in. I get there on, Monday afternoon, and then I'm there Tuesday morning to set up. And I allocate the entire day to set up. Now, keep in mind, for me, I'm allocating that entire day, but I don't have to use the freight elevators. I don't have to worry about parking. You do. So you might want to come in Monday and you might want to do your unloading on Monday. Take the stress off of you. Do all, get that, and you can set up on Monday too. And then you've got Tuesday to kind of walk around and fine tune your booth, go meet some other exhibitors, check out the rest of the Dallas Market Center, look at what's going on. If you kind of didn't quite get everything set up by 5 p.m. on Tuesday, the building will open at 7:30 on Wednesday, but you have got to be fully set up by 8:30. Now, during setup on Tuesday, that floor is closed to buyers. They have screens and everything set up where, kind of screens that block buyers from coming. But there is what's called a pre-show. Even though it's not technically advertised through WESA, there is a WESA pre-show. So that means like all the WESA, the Western English, that are exhibitors that are part of WESA who have showrooms, their showrooms will be open on Tuesday and buyers are already there. They are already there. And we have the other markets that are going on. The apparel and accessories market actually opens on Tuesday. It goes Tuesday through Friday. So there's buyers, and just know that they might kind of be walking around on our floor. So I just say to them, yep, you know what? This is what I've got, but I'll be fully set up tomorrow. Okay, the other thing is do not forget to get down to the lobby by no later than 5 o'clock on Tuesday to get your exhibitor badge. And if you are the exhibitor and your name is on that contract, you are the person that needs to go down and get that badge and sign for it. You cannot send your helper. And also, I had mentioned, there's additional badges. So if you do have some people that are coming to help you in your booth, make sure that you get those additional badges for them so that they can get in and out of the building. You need that badge to be able to get into the building. Tuesday, if you're coming in through the freight elevators, you're kind of okay. But come Wednesday, you come in through the main lobby and you got to either take the elevator or the escalator up. You need the badge. You're not going anywhere if you don't have your badge. Okay, it's showtime. Market hours are 8:30 to 6, Wednesday through Friday. Market closes at 3 on Saturday. Make sure you are there by 8:30. Your booth needs to be open. You need to stay until 6 o'clock. It's not unusual that I will have buyers come by after 6 o'clock and start writing an order. So just prepare. These are long days and dress appropriately. So you want to definitely take care of your feet, comfortable shoes. This is fashion. This is the Dallas Market Center. This is fashion, people. And we have got a lot of cowboys and cowgirls, and we are dressed. So we've got our hats and our boots, and you should see some of the belt buckles that people are wearing, especially in January. It is a lot of fun because everybody is dressed. So don't come in a t-shirt and a jeans. You are presenting yourself and your business, and this is Western. And so yeah, you want to look the part. And you want to be ready to talk about your products. What makes them so awesome from the competition? Why would buyers want to bring this in? Buyers, especially the Western and English, the WESA buyers, they are interested in USA made products. So I really make a point about that. My products are USA made right here in my studio in Wisconsin. um, so, be ready to talk about everything. Be ready to talk about what are your minimum order? What's an opening order? You want to have some kind of a minimum because otherwise buyers might just buy what I call a personal. That doesn't help you. They're not going to promote that. You're there, to promote your business. So I have a $500 minimum, which is actually pretty reasonable. But that is in order to write an order with me, it's $500. Again, your price points, your payment options. Some people will ask you about terms. I really don't give out terms. I'm a small business, so I can't afford net 30. I can't afford net 60. I have made some exceptions for some of my very good customers, but I also know that they are going to pay me within that time frame. So if you have any questions about payment from buyers, contact me and I will talk to you personally about that. Okay. Also, what's your time to fill? How long, this is August, so a lot of these buyers are there to buy for fall, for winter. Some of them are there already buying for spring, but you need to know how long is it going to take and make sure you're not cutting yourself short. That doesn't help you and your reputation. All right, lots of information here. I hope your heads aren't exploding. This is very, very important or WESA is an order writing market. This is not cash and carry. You are bringing samples of your products. So that means, let's say, for instance, a sample. If you like my hat that I have on, right? This hat comes in multiple sizes. I am not bringing this same hat in every single size. I bring one. If you have a t-shirt, you're going to bring one design of that t-shirt, a size maybe small. Maybe your other t-shirt design might be a medium, so the buyers can kind of see how your size run, but you're bringing like one. There is a small exception here called the pink tag. And this is, remember, your deadline for this is, if you want pink tags, July 25th. I took this verbiage right from the WESA website about pink tags. So a one-of-a-kind sample you can actually sell to the buyer. But it has, if you release that, they have to have a pink tag and it cannot change the look of your display. And they have to pick it up only at the close of the trade show. Now, if there's a one-of-a-kind sample that does change the look of your display, that they cannot pick up until the end of the market. So for instance, there is a vendor there who sells cowhides, and he's very well known, and people will get there to see him right away because he's got all these beautiful one-of-a-kind cowhides. So what he does is the buyer buys them, make sure you get the money from them at the end of market, because he would be dismantling his booth by quite a bit, taking all these cowhides down. So at the end of market is when he packs them all up and takes, and that's when the buyers can take them, but not during the market. The other thing with one-of-a-kind samples that fit into briefcases, handbags, or trade show bags don't require a pink tag. So like for me, my one-of-a-kind jewelry pieces, that's how I can do that, because you will see some jewelry places that, they have a lot of one-of-a-kinds, and those can be sold because it's not changing the look of the booth. Okay, a couple other things. Somebody in the previous webinar had said, I wasn't even sure if there was food and beverage at the Dallas Market Center. There are tons of options for food and beverage on pretty much every single floor. On the 11th floor, we have the Lone Star barbecue place. And so we've got that. We've got another place on the other opposite side of the floor. But Cafe on 13, I really like their wraps and their salads, and they have got the best banana pudding. Oh my goodness. These food and beverage places now, they will be open as long as there is a market going on their floor. So that means the apparel and accessory market, remember that is Tuesday through Friday. They close on Friday. So that floor is now closed off. So don't think you're going to go to Cafe on 13 on Saturday. They're not going to be open. We will have places open on the 11th floor and on the 14th floor. They only accept credit card, no cash. Other things to keep in mind are the fashion shows. So there's one on Tuesday. That's the Tuesday fashion show is for apparel, for the apparel and accessories. And then the Western and the English, because this is WESA and ADA, American English Trade Association. That fashion show happens on Wednesday. I want to say, it's not in the directory because the Dallas Market Center actually coordinates. They coordinate this fashion show. WESA does not. If you have product, apparel, boots, hats, jewelry is pretty hard to see on these runways because this happens in the main lobby. But if you want to at least say, hey, I've got this really awesome product. You need to get a hold of Carl Marshall. There's his contact information and let him know about you. They usually pull a lot of the Western apparel and hats and boots from the showrooms. So I'm just trying to help you and myself, of course, let Carl know about us. Some of the other things that happen are these mixers. There's all kinds. So, like, we have an opening night mixer, we have a Taste of Texas. So, what you'll see in the buyer guide are these social events. They happen throughout the day, but there's going to be like hors d'oeuvres and there'll be some beverages. There might be some beer. They might do a sangria. They might do a margarita. But these happen on the floor. So not only does WESA do it, but Ada does it, the apparel and accessories. So beyond just looking at the WESA itinerary, take a look at the other ones as well, because you could basically fill up and not maybe fill up on food or, bring your own food. That's another option. Okay, we're getting there, people. Thanks for hanging in here. Aftermarket. This is really important. And, I'll usually start my checklist while I'm at market so I don't forget. But I might think about, what went well, uh, what things would I like to change, what I want to keep doing, what do I want to stop doing. So really do a good assessment so that you can continue to build on your success. Make sure you follow up but with buyers. Remember I was saying, when you talk to buyers, if they're not ready to place an order with you, get their business card. Oh, something else I just thought about in your toolkit. Have a notebook. Have a notebook because not all buyers have their business cards. So what I'll do is like, that's okay. I'm a Libra, so I'm very option oriented. I have a notebook. I can take your information right here and make sure I follow up with you. So have a notebook where you can actually write their information down. Or, you might even use the notebook and staple their business card next to put some notes as to what you talked about with them, what they were interested in. That's all going to help you after market when you follow up with them. You will also get a final buyer registration list that usually comes out a couple weeks after market. And you can use that to do another follow-up to buyers. Make sure you fulfill your orders on time. I used to have a showroom in the Denver Market Center, which is no longer there, but I did have a few different lines that I represented in my showroom. And sadly, there was one of the vendors, she was notorious for never filling the orders. And that was then on me. You want to make sure you fill your orders on time. So that is why, if you say it's going to take you 2 weeks to fill that order, it better be 2 weeks. So I will say to my buyers, like, okay, I got to think about all my orders that I have. How long does that take me? Because I'm a one-woman show. I make this stuff. So be honest about that. And then start planning for the next market because that January registration comes up very quickly. It's usually about a week or two after this August market that you've got to fill in that contract. And get to know the WESA team. Amy, Jeff, Sophia, they're all very, very helpful people. They respond to their emails very quickly. They're full of information. So if you've got more stuff to ask them, uh, they are wonderful as far as helping out, and because they want to see you successful, because they want to see you come back as well. And then, of course, for additional support, you got me. There's my contact information. I am more than willing to like, I know I gave you a lot of information. We went through this. You got to absorb all of this, but as you go through and maybe you just want to do a double check or something, get in touch with me. I am more than happy to help you because I too want you to be successful. And let's meet up at market. We just got booth assignments yesterday. It looks like I'm in booth 470. So So yeah, let's meet up at Market. Okay,
Very exciting. Thank you, Laura. All
you
right,
are
who
welcome.
wants to ask questions? And we're more than welcome to have you guys whoever wants to talk or be on screen either way, you're more than welcome to introduce yourself and your company also. We'd love to hear more about that.
Jump in if okay.
Yeah.
Okay, hi, I'm Nikki Meeker. Nice to meet you guys, and thank you for the great presentation, Laura. I work for a company called the Jewelry Group. Been around for 20 plus years. We have licenses with like Givenchy, Lauren by Ralph Lauren, all kinds of brands. And we have the exclusive license for Lainey Wilson Jewelry worldwide that we'll be coming to the WESA show with. And we're doing a temp booth this time. We're still trying to figure out this space. Our company is very much department store oriented, and we really want to diversify, right? We need specialty. We need this Western channel. So, with Lainey Wilson Jewelry, we're going to be launching. Some of the usual major suspects like Boot Barn, Cavenders, that kind of thing. But
Mm-hmm.
coming to this show, we're not necessarily going to be selling at the show. We're kind of making contacts because we don't have the back end set up. What are your
Oh.
thoughts on that, Laura?
Hmm. Well, they're gonna probably want to know when will you be ready to order.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think we're going to be ready
So
in January. So we're going to work on the
January,
back
okay.
end Shopify integration. I mean, we have it for some of
Okay.
our other brands, but not for Lainey yet.
Okay.
But so I mean, our main goal there is really to get contacts for retailers, and then we're
Yep.
also, and this is something I'll reach out to you because I'm having a hard time figuring out rep groups. And I don't know if you work with a rep group, but I'll reach out separately because I feel like
Yep.
that's a
Yep. Actually,
a,
okay,
a
so a couple of things as far as you said sales representatives.
yeah,
Okay. So something you can actually do on the WESA website because WESA really it's a lot of sales reps that are
yeah.
part of WESA. And so you can actually, there is a resource there that if you are looking for sales representatives, you can
Hmm.
create a job description and
Yeah,
you can get it out on the WESA website so that those sales reps see that you are looking
yeah,
and these are seasoned sales reps right there with
mhm.
WESA who might rep multiple lines. Um,
Yeah. We did that, and I didn't really get any
okay,
traction.
okay.
So yeah, I'm trying to figure out how we figure that out. And we wouldn't be. I got one phone call actually from it probably till January 26th.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm just curious how you go about that, and because specialty
Yeah.
I've managed it in different companies, and it can be a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so wanting to make sure we're set up for success. But yeah, I mean, a lot of this information was really good. You said you debate the whole day on Tuesday. If you have three people setting up a 10 by 10, do you think we could get her done in 5 or 6 hours, or is that just going to be too tight?
Well, I would think so. Three people, yeah. Just make sure you know what I would do again. Treat it as a project management and
Yep.
kind of say to this person, this is what you're responsible for. This is what you're doing. This is what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, we'll do.
Yeah.
And then we're going to do an ad. I saw that email that came out from, I believe, Greg
Mm-hmm.
yesterday. So we are going to put an ad in the WESA directory. So we'll get
Yep.
that in like today or tomorrow because I think
Yep.
it's the deadline's fast approaching. But I think those were my main questions. Oh, what was that where you rent the shelving? Because we were looking at tables, but I think you're right. I think the booth is going to get way too crowded way too quickly. What was the name of that company? I think you said American something.
Yeah. American Concepts. Go out to the Dallas Market Center website
Okay.
and then in the top part of the screen, all the way over to the right, I think it's like something about exhibitors. And when you hover over that, you'll see a drop down menu, and towards the
Okay.
bottom are resources.
Okay.
And their website will be right there where you can go on there and you can order.
Okay, Great. Awesome. Yeah, no, this was really helpful just to kind of talk through all of this. So
Good.
I'll let somebody else go. Looks like Bernardo wants to have some questions. So I don't want to take the whole time, but I will circle with you, Laura. You seem like a wealth
Yeah,
of knowledge, and I'm kind of a little bit of a one-woman show trying to crack this nut. So really appreciate your time.
you're welcome. Thanks, Nikki.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you. My name is Bernardo. I'm with Bigali Hats. We're a fourth generation hat manufacturer. So this is our first time in WESA. We've done a bunch of the Dallas Market Center shows. They're not as good as WESA, so now we're aiming for the real hat show.
Okay. There's a lot of hats there, a lot of hat vendors.
We don't do any Western hats. We do crushables mostly. Our brand is European. The family business started in Europe, so we steer clear from the Western hats. We have customers that make that, and we're happy that they sell more of the hats. We're more on the crushable and dress hats, so it's going to be a different booth. It's a different market for us. I did have one question regarding the pink tags, because technically our hats don't fit in a briefcase, but since we're launching a whole frontier collection for WESA, we're going to hand out samples to buyers that have interest. The hat samples aren't going to be under the pink tag rules. We can just hand those out, or no?
You're handing it out as a freebie?
Not as a freebie. It's more like to spike interest and samples.
Yeah. And you can mass produce those?
The hats, yeah.
It's not a one of a kind then. So yeah, that would be a no-no on the 11th floor. Yeah,
right,
that would be if you had a one of a kind hat,
if we would customize it there in some way.
That I would actually talk to the WESA team about. If you customize it and make it a one of a kind there, they might allow that, but I would definitely talk to them about it. There is the other thing you might think about is if you're going to be kind of like a permanent company there at the Dallas Market Center, you might want to look into a showroom on the 7th floor, because the 7th floor is all cash and carry. And so buyers will go to the cash and carry floor, and you can actually, there are showrooms, but they have multiple lines in there. Most of the time there are no minimum orders. You can just do kind of a one of a kind, like you're talking about here. Take one of the hats, buy one of the hats, see how it goes. So that, and then you have absolutely no problems with doing your, selling one here, one there.
That's fine. Now we've done the cash and carry. Well, so we're just going to go with another strategy for WESA.
Okay. Yeah. But I would, if you're going to, I would, if you totally customize the hat and make it very unique, one of a kind, you might be able to do that with the pink tag, but as far as just saying here, if you're mass producing the hat, then that's not a one of a kind, and that would not qualify for a pink tag.
Okay.
Yeah. Does that help?
Yeah.
Sometimes the pink tag thing gets a little confusing.
It's fine. Thank you.
You're welcome. Good luck to you.
Hope to meet you there. I think we've spoken on the phone a couple of times, but never in person.
Okay. Yeah, good.
Okay. Yep. Oh.
All right. What other questions?
All right, we will wrap up. Thank you again, Laura. Thank you for all of you that attended live. For anyone else, we'll look forward to meeting you on our YouTube channel, and we'll look forward to also meeting all of you that will be at WESA in August in Dallas. All right, take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Laura. Nice to meet you.
Thanks. Nice to meet you. Take care. Bye-bye.